Hello, everyone, and welcome to The Reality Is. My name is Alysha.
And my name is Sanjana.
And before the show starts, we like to let viewers know that the values expressed on the show do not necessarily reflect the values of Close Look Productions. They're our values and ours alone.
And with that being said, let's talk about our sponsors who are sponsoring Close Look Productions' 4th annual talent show.
Yeah, so without these sponsors, the event probably wouldn't happen, so we thank them tremendously. These sponsors include
Surrey Honda, John Vulcan Academy, Avenue Dental, which is in Abbotsford, as well as Surrey. And then we have A-Class Auto Body and SEMO Foundation, as well as AIS Management.
And then I'll take it from here. So Krishna and Associates, thank you so much. Denny's now open on Fraser Highway in Surrey. Yacht Group, Mo Khan, Manjeet Lit and Gurdev Sandhu, and Realtor Ravi Gill. Oh, and as well as Onyx LED Floor, who is actually owned by Leo, who was on our show last time, and Raj from One Step Solutions.
Wow, that is quite the list.
I know. It's that much support for this community initiative. So let's get on with our show. So we didn't have a show last week. And why was that, huh?
I feel so targeted right now.
Well, it was finals week.
Yeah, it was finals, guys. Cut me some slack.
So what happens during finals? Why didn't we have the show? Because we were stressed.
We were stressing. No, but yeah, finals is pretty stressful. You know, you spend all this time in one class, okay, 2 classes right now, and you know, you put in all this effort into work and assignments and stuff, and now you have this final exam that's going to determine a big chunk of your marks. So yeah, finals is quite stressful.
Yeah, so it must be like a really daunting time. You know, this is like a big chunk of your grade that's dependent upon how much prep you're doing in the moment, right?
Yeah.
And, it's funny because the reason why we started this show, like the reason why we're talking about it is we were like, what do people need to know in order to do well in finals? And so because that, idea came in our mind, we're like, hey, let's actually have a show where we instill this knowledge right now in people so they could actually do something with this knowledge. And then when finals come again in a couple months, you guys are hella prepared.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why we have this show. We really want to, teach people that it's more than just talking about, having a good exercise routine or eating good food, which is always important, but also just finding a new way to actually approach the subject and changing your mindset.
Exactly. And our show is The Reality Is. We don't want to, go with the whole commonplace knowledge like, oh, you need to exercise, you need to do this, you need to do that. It's like, let's be realistic. I don't think you're going to start exercising during your finals week, especially during finals week. I don't think you're going to just start implementing these new things like eating healthy and getting enough sleep. Like, let's be real.
We don't do that anyway.
So let's create some good habits now so that when you get there, then you'll be more prepped and less stressed. So let's get into it. So Sanjana, what are you noticing right now as a high school student who is someone who just went through Hell Week?
Don't remind me. But since we're speaking about it, so finals is quite stressful, but I feel like a lot of teachers, they're always talking about how you should eat right, you should exercise, you should spend time with your family and your friends. And a lot of times they're also like, a lot of parents are also saying like, don't worry too much about it. It's okay. Holistically, it's just one exam. Good intentions, of course, but a lot of times like people are always saying like these really positive things, and that doesn't help at the moment because you're like, yeah, I get that holistically it doesn't matter, but I still want to do my best. So I think that's why it's so great that we're actually talking about how to actually change our approach and the way that we deal with the stress that's actually happening during
that time. And you know what? I think that like, let's be helpful. Let's actually, implement things that get us to kind of maybe change our mindset around finals or like tests and stuff, rather than just saying, again, oh, do this talk to your friends, talk to your loved ones, go for a walk. Like those things I'm just like, I'm not going to do any of that stuff right now.
Yeah.
So it's like really, I think the reason why we want to talk about this is like kind of like having a new revolutionary thinking about stress and what that does to actually piggyback you into doing well during finals. So I think we have like a little game that we're going to ask, like questions we're going to ask each other. Yeah. So I'll ask the first one. First question. So this is, I guess, a statement you could say to someone. Try to have a stress-free weekend.
I think that's really nice. Yeah, like I don't mind if my teacher tells me to have a stress-free weekend. You best believe I'm gonna have a stress-free weekend then.
Yeah, and you're probably doing things that you want to do that make you happy.
Yeah.
So that is, I want to say that it's false. It's said with good intentions, but because we're leading that stress-free life, students tend to avoid stressful situations, such as studying or completing an assignment. So in the name of stress-free, you're neglecting the things that really matter to you.
Yeah, it's almost like you're avoiding the things that you actually need to deal with because they're stressful, and that's probably going to pile up, and then you're going to end up being more stressed.
And your relationship with stress is just like, don't do it. Just avoid it. Yeah. Just do it when it's like you have to do it.
Next misconception is understanding that stress is something negative and practice ways to avoid it.
Okay, so understand that stress is something negative and then try to find ways to avoid it.
Yeah,
right?
Avoiding stressful situations.
Okay, I would say that based on our first question that I asked you, that is false because, just personally speaking, I think stress is a good thing. Everyone gets stressed. A 4-year-old can get stressed just trying to figure out where her crayons are. It propels you to action, It can be a very good motivator as well. So I think the effects can be really good. But of course, if it's too much, if it's an excess, then that's when we start having those feelings of anxiety and maybe depression that we sometimes feel during finals.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, too much of stress is obviously bad, but it's definitely like just your body's response to things that, to maybe like a stimuli or like your environment or whatever it is that's that needs your attention. So 100%.
Yay.
Yeah.
Oh, I feel like that was an easy question to answer because like I just asked you the first one and it tied into that. So
don't give yourself some
okay.
credit.
I'm smart. No.
You're smart. Yeah, exactly. And a Stanford psychology professor, Alysha, actually said that the amount of negative words or ideas that you actually attach to stress is going to affect the way that you actually process the stress. So if you think stress is a really bad thing, you're going to feel those terrible outcomes, those terrible feelings.
And if you associate bad things with your schoolwork, you're going to not want to do it. You're going to want to run away from it. It's the last thing you want to do, right? Exactly. So kind of trying to maybe change the wording, change your attitude towards your schoolwork.
100%.
Okay. That was actually a good one. Thank you, Andrea. Is it Andrea?
Thank you, Alysha.
Alysha, sorry.
Wow.
Okay, I'm so sorry. Sorry, Alysha. Okay, last one. Okay, so Sanjana, always try to find the upside of stress. So I guess always trying to find like the good parts of stress.
Oh, that seems kind of like, I remember that episode where we talked about toxic positivity, and it seems like maybe we're kind of touching on that. Like, why are we trying to find the good in something that's clearly kind of bad?
Interesting.
Is that another word for wrong?
No, that was a good perspective because that is a good way to think of that. That finding the upside of stress is like trying to find the good in everything, even if it is something that is bad for you, right? And you should treat it as a bad thing if it's too much stress, right? But I have a psychologist now I can talk about. So psychologist Kelly McGonigal, she's the author of The Upside of Stress, actually. So she argues that like a meaningful life is a stressful life.
Oh.
I think that's pretty true. So recognize that small amounts of stress go a long way to fulfilling your dreams. So it's always going to be stressful. Your life is going to be stressful if you're trying to, get to the next thing that is something you really want in your life. It's going to take work. It's going to take early mornings, things like that. And that, again, is intrinsically stressful, but it's all worth it at the end. So,
yeah. And how do you know if it's like too much, though?
Good question. How do you know if it's too much stress? I think it's just like if you can't find I really do think it's if you can't find the good in it, right? So you don't have a good relationship with it, because you can work very, very nicely with your stress. And you can manage it. You can find ways to manage it. But if it's consuming you to a point where you're dreading things in your life that are just things that you just need to do to survive, or like your schoolwork, then you might need to really think about dialing it back a little bit, and like ask yourself why you're this stressed. Maybe you're taking too many classes. True. Maybe you have a family issue, and it's making it hard for you to focus in school.
I see. So yeah, definitely like trying to dial back the amount of stress that you're going through, but also, as we're talking about in the show, just the way that we approach stress in general. And yeah, so speaking about stress and like learning how to cope with it, like what are some other ways that we can kind of talk, or how can we kind of deal with stress in a way that's healthy?
Yeah, well, that's a good question. And I know there's an article that we found. I really appreciate this article because it was one of the articles that really, I think, addressed the realness of the topic, and really had some very like helpful things that we can like implement now in our life. First one is just accept that you have stress in your life. I'm stressed. I'm so stressed. And so what happens is like, end of semester, you're trying to have like a stress-free life, a stress-free time, whatever. You're more stressed because you're trying to live stress-free, but because you're stressed, you're getting stressed because you're stressed.
That's a lot of stress.
Yeah, so it doesn't do any good. And again, it makes you want to avoid those things that are giving you stress. So that means that stress is very negative. It's impacting you negatively. So it's okay to have it, and to not be avoidant, right? Just, I think acceptance is the first thing because you're aware of it. What are some other things? I mean, we can probably brainstorm some things right now.
Yeah, I think accept it. I think being able to handle it in a way, I guess putting things in perspective and being able to handle it in a way that is not affecting all aspects of your life. Like you're not letting it, affect the relationships that you have with people in your life, the extracurriculars that you may be having, because if it is, then you need to probably address it.
Yeah, exactly. I think another one is just change your mindset about stress. So again, it can be very harmful, but it can also be very productive, and it can actually sharpen your need to do something, and it can lead to a lot of personal growth. Have you heard about like self-fulfilling prophecy?
No, I haven't.
It's like when you say like, it's like your beliefs about stress. So if you think that stress is bad, then you're going to believe it. And anytime you are stressed, you're like, oh my God, this is bad.
I see.
And so it's kind of like a cycle that you believe something so much that you're always going to attribute it as something bad. So it comes true. Oh, I'm so stressed and this is bad, and I missed the bus. So because of my stress, I missed the bus. And so it's kind of like this loop that feeds into your feelings that stress is bad.
Yeah, exactly. Because you're associating it with a negative event.
Yeah, and you believe the effects are bad. That's what it is.
And then you start to feel them.
With self-fulfilling prophecy, if that's, that is like a psychological process that happens in our life, you can change that. So with a positive mindset come positive outcomes.
Interesting.
So you just flip it.
The power of manifestation.
Yeah, that's true. You just flip it. You're good to go.
Oh, sounds good.
Yeah.
And isn't there also something around, I guess also gratitude. And I guess especially now that we're dealing with like stressful times, like maybe COVID-19 is starting to stress everyone out, and maybe not just finals. I think also not to the point where it's like toxic, but also acknowledging the fact that there are good things also going on in your life as well, and also maybe even having some gratitude for the stress itself.
Yeah, one of the last ones, and this kind of ties into our other shows about like intrinsic motivation and extrinsic. So it's kind of attaching meaning to the stressors in your life.
Okay.
So it's kind of like, you feel stressed because you want to achieve like a high goal. You want to fulfill your dreams and passions, and that comes from an intrinsic motivation. And that meaning to your stress is actually managed better compared to I have to do good because I have to get an A on this test.
Okay.
Right?
Sounds good. So as long as you have like intrinsic motivation, obviously you can start to see stress as more of a positive thing because it's helping you get to that inner fulfillment or that goal that you have. Yeah,
that's true. Because I feel, okay, like I remember when I was studying for tests and stuff, if I knew that I had to do good because it depended on my GPA, I feel like that's way more of a stressor to me than just being like, I just love learning about this. I'm just going to learn for the sake of learning.
Yeah.
I know that not everyone thinks that way. And sometimes you can't do that based on the course. But if you find some way to like incorporate that into your studying, then I think that your connection to the material will be better and your stress level will be more maintained.
Okay.
What do you think? Yes?
Yeah,
no?
I think so. I'm just wondering, what about for subjects that you're not so keen on? Like, how would you kind of attach like some meaning to that?
Yeah, that's a hard one. Like, let's say if it's a chemistry course or something, I would say trying to use those examples into your real life, like something that's applicable to your real life. So I don't know, like it's hard to say with chemistry. I don't know why I gave that example, but knowing about the properties is important because it's everywhere around us. And so we have a connection with, atoms and molecules that make up everything and make us, something like that.
Something like that, along the line. No, but that makes perfect sense. Yeah, there's obviously some value in that course that you took. And at the very least, it's general knowledge that you can probably bring up in a conversation at least.
I guess that's another intrinsic motivator. So yeah, I feel like those are some good ways that we've shifted the narrative for finals week. And it has nothing to do with these superficial ways of dealing with your stress, but they're ways that we can actually really like shift the way we think about things.
Okay, so the reality of this situation is that stress does have its benefits. It does help us react to different things in our life appropriately, giving it the attention that we need, like finals, for instance. So really learning how to change our mindset is so important when dealing with stress. Instead of trying to attend to things like maybe like exercise or good food, focusing on the issue head on and just changing our relationship with stress, learning to have some more gratitude, using support networks, and also just not manifesting manifesting all these like negative associations with stress. Yeah, because that's all just gonna happen. all those negative events are gonna happen if you attach stress to such negative notions.
Before we go, we do have one announcement. So Samo Foundation, who is actually one of the sponsors for the Close Look Talent Show, they're presenting Inspire 2020. So it's an online auction on November 20th, 21st, and 22nd, and all the donations will be distributed to 5 local charities. And those local charities include Surrey Food Bank, Surrey Christmas Bureau, Conquer, Fraser Region Aboriginal Friendship Center, and Team Keon.
Wow. Okay. And yeah, please do get more information by connecting with the website, semofoundation.com. And yeah, your financial support can go a long way. So please do feel free to connect with the website and get more information.
Awesome. Well, yeah, I'm so happy to be back.
I'm happy
Let's
to be back.
not take another break.
Yes.
And thank you to viewers for watching, sticking with us. Thank you to Daniel, camera operator, and to Close Look Productions and their amazing platform.
Thank you, everyone, and please do connect with us on Thursdays at 6 p.m. at The Reality Is Show.
Get inspired!